Hello everybody, I am George, and in today's video I am going to show you the most famous game of chess history, played in 1851, known as the Immortal Game. This game took place in London, where Adolf Andersen played with the whites, and Lionel Kiezeratzky faced him with the blacks. The game started, and Andersen advanced his pawn to the e4 square. Kiezeratzky replied symmetrically with e5. The game continued with f4 transposing to the king's gambit. Kiezeratzky captured the pawn on f4, accepting the gambit and challenging white's position. But here Andersen, instead of playing the famous move, knight on f3, plays bishop on c4, allowing a check from black's queen. King goes on f1, losing the opportunity to castle. Nevertheless, he stays into a place where black's pieces cannot deliver him other checks. Pawn on b5. Kiezeratzky sacrifices material and equalizes the position. The purpose of this gambit was to gain some tempo in order to place his knight on f6, as well as Andersen was spending time by capturing that pawn. The knight was attacking the e4 pawn, so if Andersen had chosen to push it forward, it would be a serious mistake, as Kiezeratzky would have the powerful move, knight on g4, threatening the pawn and forcing a checkmate. Here it is worth mentioning that, if the game had this continuation, Andersen wouldn't be able to play g3, because then follows pawn captures g3. And the recapture is not possible as white loses a rook. In addition, after h3, black would have the crazy move, pawn on g2, checking the king and attacking the rook. But after king captures, we would have a beautiful checkmate. Back to our position. In the game, knight on f3 was played by Andersen, counter-attacking the queen. Pawn on d3 followed, to support the pawn on e4 by creating a solid pyramid. This move also puts additional pressure to the opposing f4 pawn. Knight h5, played by Kiezeratzky, supporting the pawn. Andersen here replied with knight on h4, advancing its knight, aiming the f5 square in order to threaten the queen. Kiezeratzky advanced his pawn to c6, attacking the white bishop. Here Andersen, instead of retreating the bishop, threatened the black queen. Queen on g5, played by Kiezeratzky. Andersen here maintained the bishop's potential pin and chose to threaten the black knight by moving his pawn 2 squares forward to the g4 square. In this position, Kiezeratzky couldn't capture it by making in passant, because then he loses a queen. So, during the game, he chose to retreat his knight to f6, putting additional pressure to the g4 pawn. But Andersen, instead of saving his bishop, supported the pawn with his rook. Kiezeratzky said, "Okay, I don't take your pawn, but I can simply grab your bishop." The blacks were 3 pawns up, but Andersen didn't resign. He advanced his pawn promptly to h4, attacking the black queen. The queen was not already trapped, she could still go on the g6 square. Andersen continued pressuring by advancing his pawn to h5. As you can see, g5 was the only square available, so Kiezeratzky moved his queen back to the g5 square, escaping from this closed pawn structure. Andersen responded with queen on f3, pretending to capture the f4 pawn as he had 2 attackers and the other side had only 1 supporter. In this position, Kiezeratzky, instead of supporting his pawn, surprisingly retreated his knight. I don't know what was Kiezeratzky thinking about, but here he lost his central pawn. Queen f6, b2 pawn is weak. What is white's obvious response? It's knight c3, of course. Where the weak b2 pawn is successfully covered by the knight and black's b5 pawn is hanging. Bishop c5, played by the blacks. Andersen's rook is under no protection. Andersen plays the super amazing move. Knight on d5, sacrificing the pawn on b2. Here Andersen shocks us of. His rook is threatened by the queen, his other rook is threatened by the bishop, and all his pieces are totally hanging. What is he going to do now? He makes the brilliant, mind-blowing move, bishop d6, giving up everything. His rooks and his bishop seem to be totally helpless, and his king completely exposed. Kiezeratzky is completely gobsmacked by Andersen's strange gambit style. Kiezeratzky, without second thought, jumps at the opportunity to win material and captures Andersen's rook. Andersen's king is checked and his rook is forked twice. He plays king e2 and surprisingly sacrifices both of his rooks. The board is in flames and the game out of control. Andersen is 13 pawns down in material and keeps playing hoping to win. He pushes his pawn forward, blocking the diagonal movement of the black queen. Now the white king is safe and he cannot be checked again. Kiezeratzky misjudges the situation and blunders by moving his knight on a6 with no reason. Knight captures g7 check, follows, and white's attacking plan has just begun. The black king has only the d8 square available, where he has to retreat. Here Andersen, after a few minutes of deep thinking and inspiration, plays the god-level move. He plays queen f6, check, sacrificing his queen. As you can see, the black king has nowhere to go. Andersen had just spotted the brilliant move of the game. Kiezeratzky had to take the queen, but then followed bishop e7, where Andersen gave a very beautiful checkmate, putting an end to Kiezeratzky's dreams and finishing an astonishing chess game that remained forever in chess history, known as the Immortal Game. A chess masterpiece where the chess genius Adolf Andersen checkmated Lionel Kiezeratzky by sacrificing his queen, his rooks, and his bishop. Now, let's analyze the game in chess.com to evaluate each move of the game and see what does the engine suggests. Absolutely fascinating. Adolf Andersen achieved an astonishing 81% accuracy rate and executed 1 brilliant and 6 great moves in a single game of chess. As we delve into this in-depth analysis, it becomes evident that both players made notable mistakes and inaccuracies, and even a few glaring oversights. Join me as we unravel the 7 remarkable moves played by the white pieces that have etched this game into the annals of chess history. Here you see the opening theory played in the game. As you see, both players make mistakes in the opening phase, but that's not strange, because in 19th century, there was no computer analysis. Chess players in 19th century were consulting chess books, which were not as good as today's chess theory books. And here comes the first great move, rook g1, but it's quite strange that it's better giving up a bishop than giving a pawn. That's a very machine-like move. Second great move, pawn on h4, kicking this queen away. h5 follows, and we have 3 great moves in a row. Guess what? Queen f3, and we have 4 great moves in a row. After a while, in the 16th move of the game, Andersen played the 5th great move of the game. That move is great, because it is going to support a strong attacking initiative and above all, prepare a checkmate. Here you can see Andersen's serious oversight. However, in human chess, it is not an oversight, as Kiezeratzky is a human, not a stockfish engine. Do you remember what follows? Yeah, e5, the last great move of the game. And because you were able to watch this video, you already know why it's a great move. Here you see Kiezeratzky's serious blunder that made him lose the game. Because then, Andersen spotted the best move, knight captures g7 check. And after king d8, Andersen sacrificed the queen. Then, Kiezeratzky, as you know, was forced to capture the queen, and it's game over. If you really liked this video, like and subscribe my channel, George's Riddle Academy. My goal is to get a lot of subscribers and build a huge chess society. Be one of them, and don't forget to watch my next video. See you soon.